Okay, what if I told you that our fundamental approach to cybersecurity is all wrong? What if the billions, and I mean billions, of dollars we spend on digital walls are actually aimed at the wrong threat? Let's get into this, because today we're talking about the single most critical part of our defense, and it's the one we always overlook. It's us.
So, when you hear the word hacker, what image pops into your head? Come on, be honest. For most of us, it's that classic movie stereotype, right? Some shadowy figure in a hoodie, hunched over a keyboard in a dark room, with green code just flying across the screen.
Yeah, well, the reality is a lot less Hollywood, and honestly, a lot more human. See, the most effective hackers today look less like supervillains and more like master manipulators.
All right, so let's start right there by just dismantling that myth completely. We're going to dig into why our old school thinking about hacking is actually what's making us so vulnerable.
Think about this. Organizations around the world spend billions, that's billions with a B, every single year. They're building these massive digital fortresses with the most advanced firewalls and incredibly complex technical defenses. And yet, you see the headlines every single day. Massive data breaches are not only still happening, they're getting worse. So it kind of begs the question, right? If we're spending all this money, why do the walls keep crumbling? What are we missing here? Well, the answer isn't buried in lines of code. It's sitting right there in the office cubicle. The biggest vulnerability, the one that attackers exploit over and over again, is a human-sized backdoor. And this right here just lays it all out. The myth is that hackers are these brilliant digital locksmiths cracking impossibly complex encryption. But the reality? They're social engineers. They don't need to break down the door because they're masters at tricking someone inside into politely holding it open for them. They exploit our most basic human instinct, to trust. And look, this isn't some new thing. This has been true from the very beginning. From one of the very first internet attacks, the Morris worm, all the way to modern advanced persistent threats. You know, those super sophisticated state-sponsored groups. The one constant has always been the same. People are the path of least resistance. In fact, study after study shows it. Sending a convincing but fake email, what we call phishing, or just manipulating someone over the phone is way more likely to work than some brute force technical assault. It's easier to hack a person than it is to hack a computer. Now, to really see how this works in the real world, let's look at a case study. And this one involves one of the most sophisticated, most notorious hacking groups on the entire planet. We're talking about Fancy Bear, a group that's been linked to Russian intelligence. I mean, these are the top-tier operators. They have immense resources, tons of talent. You would think their methods would be, impossibly complex, right? Well, take a look at their attack chain. It is shockingly simple. Step 1, they write a really convincing email, something that looks like it's from a colleague or a system you trust. Step 2, they get you to click a link in that email. Step 3, that link takes you to a fake login page that steals your password the second you type it in. And boom, step 4, they have full access. That's it. No complicated code breaking needed. So the big takeaway here is this. Even the most elite, well-funded hackers on Earth built their entire operation on exploiting the most basic human tendencies. Things like a sense of urgency, our curiosity, or just our desire to be helpful. The technology was just the delivery truck. The real target was a person. Okay, so if people are the primary vulnerability, what do we do about it? I mean, you can't just release a software patch for human nature. The answer is we have to completely change our mindset. We need to stop seeing people as the weak link and start seeing them as the solution. It's time to build a human firewall. And this is such a powerful idea. A human firewall isn't a piece of technology you can buy, it's a culture. It's a culture where every single person in an organization, from the newest intern all the way up to the CEO, is trained, empowered, and expected to be an active part of the defense network. So how do you actually build one? Well, you have to start with a strong technical foundation. That means basic stuff, like enforcing multi-factor authentication everywhere. That alone makes a stolen password practically useless. It means using a zero-trust model, which basically means you trust no one and verify everything every time. And of course, doing regular password audits to get rid of all those password 123 weak links. Then, once the foundation is there, you have to test your team. You have to run realistic, mandatory phishing simulations so people build that muscle memory for spotting threats. You need to have clear playbooks so that when something does happen, nobody's running around wondering what to do.
And you absolutely have to practice those playbooks with exercises that involve everyone, not just the IT team.
But you know, all of these things, the tools, the training, the tests, they're really just components. To make a human firewall actually work, you have to bake it into the company's DNA. Security has to become a real culture. And this table just lays it out perfectly. It is a shared responsibility. Yeah, employees need to have that stop and verify mindset and report anything that looks weird. But leadership, they have an even bigger role. They have to champion this from the very top. They have to show up to the training, enforce the rules with no exceptions, and invest not just in tech, but in their people. And this right here, this might be the single most important part of the whole thing. Your culture has to create what's called psychological safety. An employee has to feel 100% empowered to question an urgent, weird request, even if it looks like it's coming from the CEO, without any fear of getting in trouble for it. That's a game changer. Ultimately, what we're really talking about here is behavioral change. It's about building new habits across the whole organization, creating a kind of collective muscle memory for security, not just throwing more money at the latest shiny software. And that really brings us to the core of it all. It's the difference between a checklist and a culture. A checklist is about compliance, it's something you do. But a culture is about commitment, it's something you are. A checklist can always be bypassed. A culture defends itself. So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. When you look at your own workplace, your own team, do you have a security checklist that people just kind of grudgingly follow? Or are you actively, intentionally building a security culture where everyone knows they are part of the firewall? Because the answer to that question could be the difference between being secure and being the next big headline.